This is Constant Elevation, the show for rising Air Force and community leaders who seek to define the future. Learn powerful work and life tactics to tackle any challenge. I'm your host, Gabriel Gabrock Avila. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Gabrock back here on the mic once again. Constant Elevation. Hope you guys are doing good in this midway point of April. I'm settling into like my third. Is this my third? I think it's my third week of class. Yeah, third week. And so it's good. Got a new routine going on. Been able to pick up more shifts as coaching over at Revival Fitness, so that's always nice. I think the morning 6 a.m. crew appreciates my energy and my unique method of coaching. I've also been stepping up my training now that the CrossFit Open is over. Signed up for a competition in June, a partner competition. It's going to be good. And then looking forward to just kind of setting up some goals and things to kind of shoot for. And it's not like I don't have a busy schedule, but I find myself being more organized when I have more things to do. That's kind of weird to say, right? Like Benjamin's, my son Benjamin's soccer season started. He already started at 0-1, but their team is good. They're just kind of rusty. But yeah, we got that stuff going on the weekends, and then now increased coaching, more reading, more writing. It's just a lot of stuff going on, but I like it. I like staying busy. Kind of makes me sure I keep everything on track. Even just doing this show, I got to make sure I prioritize my time that way I can record, do my normal kind of things, research otherwise of just kind of topics. Most of the time, the topics at hand that I talk about on this show usually come from work, but I don't think you guys really want to hear me talk about JCWS stuff a lot, so I'm not going to bother you with that. Actually, this week actually gave me some really other methods to try to garner some ideas of what to talk about. It has prompted actually something a lot bigger than I thought, and I'm happy to I'll talk about that at the end of the episode. But so when I started, here's some background stuff. So when I started Constant Elevation, I did all like the podcast marketing books and understanding how to start it. And so there's a whole, as far as getting all the equipment, that was just a justification for me to buy more stuff and more better computer and all that jazz. No, honey, I need the camera. I need a brand new MacBook Pro to make sure I can do my podcast stuff. So I got all that stuff. I've been doing this over like a year now. And then one piece that I was just not really comfortable doing, and potentially you've seen it as far as you haven't seen it because I just choose not to do it, is a large amount of social media engagement when it talks about my show. I only do like once or twice posts a week. I kind of just say like, hey, so hopefully if you're the built-in audience here, then you're already here. And then if I happen to share it in certain forums or whatever it is, I understand the how to use social media, but I also understand the cons of using it and just it's a necessary evil. I'll definitely say that, but I caution myself and make sure that I only spend so much time that I need to, because I think everybody knows social media is like one of those huge rabbit holes where it's just the worst part of humanity can be found on social media. And so, arguably when the internet was started and just all those kind of things go with technology, there's great things about it, right? And so I'm not here to say that IT is bad. I like it. I work in that industry, but there's certain parts of it that I just deliberately kind of stay at arm's length and just kind of act when I need to do about it, and then I go back to my normal whatever I want to do. Just because spending too much my psychology, spending too much time on social media is bad for me, at least for me anyway. Arguably, I'd say it's for everybody, but maybe people know how to. Maybe people use it in a more positive manner than what I understand how to use it, and I only use a certain portion of it. Right? I use all the old people platforms like Facebook and social media and Instagram, and then that's it. I don't have a TikTok. I don't do, I'm sort of learned about Clubhouse, but I'm also not on that all the way yet either, I should say. But it's definitely something, it's a tool. Like anything else, don't blame the tool. It's your use of it that's going to be the good and bad portion of it. So, I'm part of several professional groups on Facebook, and I tend to use it for research because I have some questions that are going on, or just kind of thoughts that I had and that I have, just kind of understand, maybe have people other perspectives, because I don't have all the answers. And so I like to ask questions in the forums and just kind of see when other people ask questions, what are those, how those responses happen. But the problem with social media is that it's a very hard place to have a conversation. And that's what I actually want to have. It's a really quick way and easy way to share information, but it is a super shitty tool for a conversation. Case in point. So I was asking I had a question about just how I was doing some research actually for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month next month. Me and some of my mentors I've been talking to, we were just kind of tossing around ideas of like what are we looking at happening out there. And so one of the I asked in a certain forum, I was like, hey, so what are some of the issues? I'm talking with some senior leaders. What are some issues that maybe you aren't afraid to ask in person, because that's the beauty, quote unquote, of social media, that you could be anonymous, or you don't necessarily have to be held accountable to your words. But I get that some people find it as a safe space in order to express their feelings. So I understood. I was like, hey, so ask me a question. Obviously, I'm not going to repeat your name, but like, what are some issues that you'd like to talk about? Because I think it's a different kind of thing where right now in society, especially in American society, Asian American politics are important. And I think that this is one of the things that we sent a core number of us developed a sense of urgency that we wanted to try and tackle this conversation. And so I asked people like, hey, so what are the things on your mind? And one of them was, it was a interesting conversation because it was sort of, they weren't sure how to start it. And then it kind of trickled into all kinds of crazy stuff. And it was really, I'll just summarize it. It was a inter-minority issues, and it talked about like what are some of the issues that are going along while there's a huge focus on white supremacy and white nationalism, and then what does that mean for the Air Force? What does that mean for our local communities? And then it's a thing of, hey, so that especially with all the Asian American violence, that like we get, there's been events where it's not necessarily only Caucasians doing that violence to us. And so the conversation kind of started going there, and like it just kind of went off into some random tangents, and like most social media kind of conversations go. And this is where you start to see people and you start to exhibit behaviors where like, I don't really know if you would say these words out loud in person, because I don't think you would. But again, that's what social media is for, right? Social media, what some people use it as, it's like the intermediary to have conversations, to share thoughts, whether or not they're actually your thoughts or not. That's a huge thing. But you start to express these feelings, and then all of a sudden, because the way that, at least for Facebook, it works, it's very serial in nature, right? It's back and forth. You type something, and then I type something, and it just goes back and forth. And all of a sudden, all the notifications, you see this like gargantuan post going on, and it's like, it's unnecessary banter. Because I just don't like both sides. I'll say just kind of acquiesce and said like, all right, so obviously I'm trying to make you understand my point and convince you you're wrong, and both sides were doing it, and then nothing happened. And to be honest, like neither side was necessarily wrong, but they were not going to say I'm going to change my mind, because it's very difficult for those kind of things to happen, especially in a very tough subject like race relations and Asian American. Want to call it discrimination, racism against us. Like this is a topic that's getting, with all the violence going on, and arguably it's been going on for a while, but there's stuff that's there. And so like anything else, just want to understand, I'm not going to ignore it. I just want to understand what are other people's perspectives. And so, but I realize that social media is really the wrong place to have it. This is where, and you've heard this term before, the keyboard warriors. And there's an interesting perspective as well, where you see people supporting, Stop Asian Hate, using a hashtag and stuff like that. Like, okay, cool, you did that. Do you actually mean that though? Or are you just posting something? Are you just doing like these half-ass attempts because it's social currency in order to participate in these kind of in these really good things? But are you doing it just for the social validation, or do you actually mean it? And so there's just like a lot of and perspectives and things that I've either experienced myself or I need to go learn. And so that's why I was asking questions. So that's what I tend to use social media for, is for research, but then also understanding like, ooh, this is a bad corner. I made too many left turns, and now I'm in a weird space, and I need to get out. So my recommendation, at least and hopefully you guys understand this, is social media, y'all need to use that tool very sparingly. I'll just advise that. Like, just understand that like it can be a great tool to share information, but depending on what you're trying to do, if you're trying to have a conversation, that's probably one of the worst places you can have it. And so just be cognizant of that, right? It's not going to go away. I'm not going to say it's good or bad. It's up to you as the human behind the IT, behind the technology, to use it responsibly. With great power comes a great responsibility. And so recognizing that, I found that there was something else that I wanted to try and offer up for May during Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And so what I started to see, here's a positive side of social media. I started seeing a lot of projos out there at respective bases, whatever it is, asking around like, hey, I just got a point in the wing lead for this. Hey, let's share. I have some ideas of what I want to do. We're going to run this event. Some people are doing multicultural events, and so you just have a smaller section in a bigger wing event, so that's cool. But like, that's a great thing, right? You get connected. That's the idea of using the internet, to develop your networks, develop other contacts, to be like, hey, so let's just share some ideas and then move forward and see what worked, what didn't work, and then making sure you just learn from other people's mistakes and successes. And that's an awesome thing to do. I mean, I've used that same thing for different kind of celebrations or any kind of event that I've run. Why wouldn't you want to ask other people for help who've been in those shoes or are currently in those shoes? You can work on it together, right? Many hands raise boats higher. There's a better way of saying that phrase. I don't know what it is. It's a Navy phrase, so because I've heard it several times in my course. But that's a positive thing, right? So I'm happy to hear that people are volunteering or voluntold or whatever it is, that, hey, so you're going to be the lead for the AAPI stuff next month, and then whatever they're going to do. In my head, actually, I don't know what it's going to be like anymore, because I think it's going to be very different as far as the just because of the COVID restrictions and stuff like that, how they're going to have a successful one. But I'm very sure it'll be successful for all the endeavors. So I wish all those projos out there luck with their efforts. However, I know that I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because I think first of all, there's already somebody doing that. So I don't need to pile on top of that, because arguably they're probably going to do a better job at that. And just my heart and my passion really want to talk about other stuff when it comes to AAPIs. And I really think that I want to talk about, like, instead of celebrating things, granted, I'm always going to end it in positive because I'm always a positive dude, but like, I really want to start opening perspectives and sharing stories about my experience as an AAPI, other experiences, and so I'm probably just opening the eyes of other people who may not even heard or have had those perspectives presented to them. Because I think those kind of things I know I'm akin to, sometimes I'm making social mistakes or doing things wrong and without even knowing it, and not understanding there's some other history or other bias behind that. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that was a thing. And so in the effort of just assuming that everybody knows how to treat everybody smartly, respectfully, why not offer some context and offer some perspectives, not only for myself, from other senior AAPIs around. And so that's what I want to do. Well, I'm setting up some conversations to talk about, it might be like some of the uncomfortable stuff, some of the dirty stuff out there that it's going to shed light on American cultures and perspectives that people may not necessarily. Not every single history, especially the American culture, is built on all good stories. I think we all can understand that. And so now is our time to share our story. And I think it's going to be, at minimum, that you walk away with a more enhanced perspective of how some of your teammates next to you experience the world and experience or carry themselves. What are the great things that we bring to the Air Force, the American way of culture, and just to understand, right? That's all. And I think for the people I like to surround myself with, you're professional and respectful enough to take that information in and use it for positive means, and be like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. I didn't realize that's how you were raised. I didn't realize there are some things that inherently you may or may not even know that are important to me, that may not be important to you, but here's some additional information. Just like when you move to you move to a certain state, you move to a different country, right? There's certain customs and cultures, stuff like that you may not be aware of, but unless someone kind of walks you through those things and helps you understand it, you're not gonna grow appreciation for it. And so that's what I want to start. Probably gonna start next week, actually. Figuring out exactly all through the month of May. Gonna come up with a series of it's gonna be unmuted. I want to call unmuted. That's one of the words that I have. It's not all the way thought out in my head yet, but they're going to be unmuted, because I think while there are going to be official things going on the Air Force is hosting, and I'm happy for all the officially hosted Air Force stuff, just like my book, I'm not writing official stuff. I don't share official things. I just share my personal story, and then hopefully the audience out there gets to learn something from it. I know I'm going to learn from it, because I'm already learning it now, doing some research as far as how I want to talk about this, and because I think it's going to be important for all of us all around, not only for the AAPI community, but for everybody involved. And then shitty, ironic things, I have to use social media to promote it. It's not that big a deal, actually. It's just like, I put it out there and then you're done. So like I said, I understand the tool. I've just got to go out there and spend all my time on it. So But yeah, what I wanted to talk about is just, it was interesting. This week started really fast as far as, hey, so there's this conversation that I felt was important, yet is a shitty way to do it on social media. So don't do it there. So instead, I'm going to host this stuff on my podcast. I might do some other, maybe a Facebook Live event, maybe not. I don't really know. But regardless of the medium and how I do it, it's more important to just share the stories. And that's what I want to do for everybody, for the Content Elevation audience. And so I want you guys to look forward to that. You'll start to see a little bit more marketing materials as things come around. But it's definitely going to be something that's important to me. And I'm bringing on a lot of voices that can share some of the different perspectives and offer some additional color to the conversation. And yeah, it's going to be good. So look forward to it. That's pretty much it. Because I have other stuff to do. I have to go read. Theoretically, I'm supposed to read and go do some writing and some other stuff, but I'll leave it up to you whether or not I'm going to do that. So, Content Elevation, I'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.